From a boys' club to a global manipulation scheme dedicated to controlling global profit and silencing anyone who goes against the unspoken objectives of the operation, the Illuminati are truly terrifying and fascinating. Let's talk about it. Before the Illuminati became the subject of the majority of the world's conspiracy theories, it was actually a legitimate, very real organization known as the Bavarian Illuminati, a confirmed secret society that operated between the years of 1776 and 1785. The organization was founded by a German law professor who believed strongly in Enlightenment practices, and it was composed of 6 to 9 like-minded individuals. Together, the men of the Bavarian Illuminati, many of whom held positions of power within their society, worked together to spread their beliefs and influence politics. While the group is said to have disbanded back in the 1780s, many people believe it continued. And not only did it continue, but it actually expanded to include influential members of government from all over the world. Today, when someone mentions the Illuminati, it is pretty widely accepted that they aren't referring to the original small group of men known as the Bavarian Illuminati, but rather to a massive, malevolent organization that controls the media, has major financial institutions deep in their back pockets, orchestrates international conflict, and creates all international and domestic policies. Oh, and some people also believe they worship the devil. If the Illuminati is real and as bad as people believe it to be, I guess I can understand why it would be incredibly important for members to do their best. Short form, controlling people from behind the scenes makes them easier to control. Instead of making big announcements outlining their interconnected web of power, they work stealthily in the shadows to control corporations, all while avoiding direct public engagement and acknowledgement. This allows the organization to make plays how they want, without the interference of public scrutiny or opinion. And the Illuminati hiding their methods, members, motives, and agenda doesn't only protect the effectiveness of the organization, it protects the safety of its members as well by reducing the risk of the public undermining their operations or targeting their members. We all know that people in positions of power, especially those in the public eye, have been known to fall victim to smear campaigns, blackmail, and even acts of violence. By staying in the shadows, it seems that the Illuminati actively avoids these dilemmas. If they were to reveal themselves and the fact that they are responsible for creating these conflicts across nations in order to fund and defund certain organizations as they see fit, it is likely that the masses would not only provide the organization with massive amounts of backlash, but that the greater part of society would actively work to resist against whatever policies or procedures have been put into place by the organization thus far. Basically, the Illuminati is just doing its best to avoid coordinated efforts towards dismantling their influence. Ever since the Freedom of Information Act was passed in 1976, it has become increasingly difficult for governments to get away with keeping secrets, seeing as the act requires the full or partial disclosure of previously unreleased or uncirculated information controlled by the US government upon request. The key phrase here being upon request. Because the Illuminati, their operations, and their motives remain unknown, the public remain in the dark about how to go about making that request. It's kind of like how if you didn't know there was a puppy sleeping behind the camera, you would have no reason to ask to see it. And it's not just the US that has passed this law. Over 70 countries and the constitutions of 80 more have similar legislation ensuring transparency between the government and their citizens. However, if you were to discover that the Illuminati was in fact very real and that they have been manipulating us for the past couple hundred years, and that many of their members own some of the most lucrative businesses across the globe, it's safe to say we as a society would be much less likely to continue supporting said businesses. So it is likely that another reason for the extreme secrecy of the organization is maintaining profit margins. I mean, no one wants to get boycotted, or as the younger generation would say, cancelled at the tippy top of their financial career. Not to mention, a major loss of funds from the organization's most influential members would greatly hinder the Illuminati's ability to get things done. And not only does staying secret help the organization maintain their profit margins and all that other stuff I mentioned, it also allows them to discreetly discredit and sometimes even kill off their competition. Take Big Pharma and Big Oil for instance, two organizations pretty much guaranteed to be run by a group of wealthy a-holes with only the best interests of their bank accounts in mind. It is believed that for years these organizations have been paying scientists and environmentalists to sway public opinion in their favor, and that's why natural medicines became so widely unaccepted in many parts of the Western world, and why many people believe that a world run on solar energy is a pipe dream, impossible to achieve, when in fact the reality is that natural medicine has kept us alive for centuries, and solar power is completely implementable, albeit at quite a large upfront cost. However, in the long run, it would actually be far more cost effective than oil. The Illuminati doesn't want you to know that because they want to keep us sick, desperate, reliant, and uninformed. And that's why on May 20th of 1998, Stanley Meyer, who claimed to have invented a car retrofitted with a water fuel cell, aka a car that ran on water and perpetual motion, was found dead. Died after taking a sip of cranberry juice at a restaurant in Franklin County, Ohio. You see, back in 1957, when oil prices began rising, albeit nothing like the way they are today, Meyer came up with the concept of a hydrogen fuel cell car that essentially ran on water. Within a few months, he developed a prototype that apparently worked perfectly. Then all of a sudden, he was hit with a bunch of lawsuits, claiming that his invention was nothing more than a fraudulent scam. And then, in March of 1998, after sitting down with his brother and two Belgian investors, he died. He had taken a sip of cranberry juice and then he grabbed his throat and ran out of the restaurant into the parking lot. There, he spoke his final words to his brother, who had ran out of the restaurant after him. Meyer said, "They poisoned me, and it's because of what I'm doing to revolutionize the car world," before dying of what investigators say was a cerebral aneurysm. After Meyer's death, a statement was released saying that no poison known to American science had been found in Meyer's system, but the sketchy details of the case have led many people to believe that either the poison was known and just wasn't reported, or it was an unknown form of poison created by the Illuminati in an effort to take out their competition and maintain their position as the leaders of a secret one-world government. But Stanley Meyer is not the only one people believe fell victim to the cruel nature of the Illuminati organization. In fact, many people believe that the organization not only maintains their secrecy so that they can target their financial competition without outright backlash, but so that they can take out the whistleblowers as well. Whistleblowers like Danny Casolaro, a reporter who had plans to reveal a globally interconnected web of organized crime and corruption involving many of the world's most prominent leaders. Unfortunately, before Danny could achieve that goal, he was found dead in the bathtub of his hotel room in Martinsburg, West Virginia. Local police on the scene said that everything in the hotel room pointed to Danny having been killed, including the fact that all of his notes and documents about the case he was working on were nowhere to be found. The FBI claimed otherwise, saying that Danny's various wounds had been self-inflicted. What's even more suspicious is that Danny's case was closed, his body was embalmed, and his crime scene was wiped clean before any of his family members were ever even informed of his death. When you put all of these points together, you can clearly see that not only are the Illuminati involved in some less than savory activities that would cause the public to turn on them, but activities that would force the legal system to bring down the full extent of the law upon them as well. Because if no one knows who the members of the Illuminati are, or if the organization really exists, they can't pin any of the horrendous crimes committed by the organization on any of its members. Furthermore, if a member of the organization does get caught engaging in illegal activity, the blame can't be traced back to any other members of the organization because, as far as we know, it doesn't actually exist. But after learning all that, I think you and I can both agree that it's highly likely that it most definitely, unequivocally does. But I want to know what you think, so go ahead and leave your thoughts down below in the comments. I've been your host, Hannah Thompson. Cheers, friends.